thought and language.
You think those insights will really pass the philosophical sniff test?
The philosophy of smell. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Listen to Philosophy Talk every Tuesday at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. 8:48 Monday morning here on KSJE. It's Monday. That means it's time for our Monday Reboot segment. That's when I get to talk technology with my guest, Lewis Campbell, who's joining us from Cintigy Computer Systems. Lewis, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
There he is, and we can hear him as well. How are you? We haven't seen you in a while because you've been busy.
Yeah, it's been quite a few weeks, but hey, we're back.
We're back, and you're just as busy, but at least we get to see you. So there's that.
Yeah.
But what's been going on? What are you noticing?
Well, it's hard to get away from it, even in tech. Tariffs, right?
That's the story.
There's a lot of speculation and reality going on.
Yeah.
One story I'm seeing here, I'll start off with this, is, with all the tariffs that have been put in place by the Trump administration, for those who don't know, who've been living in a cave or something. Trump administration has imposed a number of tariffs on a lot of different countries. Apple iPhones are largely made in China, and there's some significant tariffs against China. So now the press is coming out. I'm reading a story from complex.com talking about how the iPhone 16 Pro Max may end up, the price may end up going up as much as $800, from like $1,600 to $2,300, and various other different iPhones could go up. There's the Nintendo Switch 2, which is this thing that everybody has been making, all the people in the gaming world have been making a big deal of, the next greatest version of the Nintendo Switch. Now Nintendo's saying they're going to delay pre-orders of this because they're not sure how the tariffs are going to affect that as well.
Wow. Interesting.
So,
go ahead.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I saw an article too about especially about Apple and their iPhones, and it was talking about maybe the profit margin, right, on iPhones, and that Apple, I guess, could maybe absorb the tariffs if they just wanted to sell their iPhones at cost. But of course, the article was saying that you don't get to become a global tech leader by selling things at cost. You got to have a little bit of a profit margin in order to go into R&D and invest and things like that. So that was their take on how the tariffs might affect an item like an iPhone.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because the article I'd mentioned before, and a lot of articles are like that, is it's still speculation, right? Because nobody knows how Apple's going to respond. So
sure,
they were saying the prices could go up by that much. It depends on, and not just Apple, but all the retailers that are affected by this, just how much they're going to decide to absorb costs themselves.
Right.
But like you said, Apple didn't get where they got by razor thinning their profit margins. Like any business, what you're going to do is you're going to look at what is the market going to accept, right? I think if they feel like they can get away with the higher prices, they will.
Sure.
And then the other factor that I think a lot of people are talking about that may not have been taken into consideration is, even if you find a way to buy completely American-made versions of some of this stuff, American manufacturers, if all your competition is raising prices, you're not going to keep your prices that low, right? You're going to take advantage of that too and increase your margin. So a lot of American manufacturers and retailers are looking at going ahead and raising their prices along with the stuff that's coming from foreign companies. So we'll have to see how that turns out.
Right. And of course, the administration says this is a negotiating technique, I guess, right? An economic, strategy. And so maybe this is just a short-term thing, and things maybe will calm down if these other companies want to negotiate with the White House or what have you. But again, big unknown. The markets are responding to the big unknown. I think they don't like uncertainty, and so we'll leave it at that, because I'm not an economic expert, and I don't think you are either, Lewis Campbell. Though probably more than me.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of this is speculation. The only take I'm taking on this is, hey, it's affecting technology, and we'll have to. It's
right.
going to affect the way we do technology, because a lot of technology comes, various parts of it, and the whole for a lot of things comes from other countries. So
sure.
we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, and you're right. And folks may not realize that iPhones are mostly made in China. And I think Samsung, a lot of their manufacturing maybe happens in Korea, South Korea. And so, a lot of these things that we use every day have global, the global actions impact them, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
So, okay. Interesting. Thank you. Very good. I'm noticing here that China, by the way, speaking of China, is coming up with a new port called GPMI as opposed to HDMI. Had you heard that, Lewis?
No, this is news to me.
It has 192 GPS bandwidth and 480 watt power delivery. So I guess kind of a better way to deliver, video and audio. We all have HDMI ports on our televisions and things like that to hook up some of our audiovisual equipment, things like that. So this would be maybe another improved, I guess, version of that, maybe, right?
Yeah, and that would be an improvement actually, because one of the downsides of HDMI right now, or at least USB-C, which is different than HDMI, but one of the downsides of some of these is the limit to the power it can deliver.
Right.
So if you want to carry, a lot of these new standards are designed to carry power and video and audio and networking all over one cable. But the standards we have so far, some of the downsides have been that they don't deliver enough power to be able to power some of the newer processors, some of the at their higher end versions. So 480 watts of power is a lot of power, and that'll power just about anything that's out there right now. So that would be interesting to see if this gets wide acceptance.
Right, and that story came from TechSpot, by the way. So okay,
Yay.
Interesting. What else are you noticing?
Well, here's something a little fun and cool. I'm reading this from the Mirror, the Mirror.com.
Mm-hmm.
A stroke survivor. So this is not Neuralink. This is not Elon Musk's company, although it should be said that they are. Neuralink has been working on this.
Yeah.
But these are some researchers that have managed to implant a brain-computer interface in the brain of the stroke survivor that has allowed her, for the first time in decades, to speak. So what they did was they monitored her brain waves and asked her to think of different sentences over some period of time. They recorded how her brain waves fluctuated when she thought of different words and different sentences and so forth and so on. They recorded all of those patterns. They put it together with recordings of her voice before she had her stroke and with an AI component. And we're able to make this brain implant now that allows her to speak again, essentially, through the computer without actually using her voice.
That's amazing.
So to me, that's not only interesting, that's game-changing.
Right. Very cool. And again, I guess it tells us what more we're learning about the brain, because that for a long time has been kind of this big mysterious organ in the body, right? And I know they've been doing a lot of research about the brain and activity, but to be able to tap into that and convert it into some kind of signals that then can be interpreted and replace or represent speech is amazing to me.
It is to me too, and I like doing studies like this because for me, and I love technology.
Sure.
With all the poo-poo that people make about being addicted to screens and how bad technology is for you, there are lots of ways that technology can do great things for us, and I love stories like this where people are using technology to help people speak, to help people walk, to help the disabled. To me, that's a great complement of the future.
I agree. I'm with you. I hear you. Also, I want to ask you a bit about we've talked a little bit, I know, on this program about AI and the new Chinese AI engine that is kind of competing against some of the American AI engines. And there's a story from Axios that says that the United States' lead over China in AI is rapidly shrinking. And I imagine it's because of some of these advances in artificial intelligence from the Chinese side. That didn't take them, as long, or it wasn't as expensive as some of the U.S. Research, right?
Right, and that's true with the work that they've done. Kind of finding a cheaper way to do AI. But like we've talked about before in another couple of stories, there's some questions about, whether there's been some corner cutting, especially in terms of safeguards, right? Because a lot of American AI, they've tried to build safeguards into it so it won't do certain things, and it doesn't look like China's implementation has the same safeguards. Another interesting thing too, and I'm reading this story from Tech Radar, is that it may be that in China the left hand may or may not know what the right hand is doing, because before they came out with DeepSeek, which is their implementation, China spent apparently both in their private entities, and I didn't know China had that many private entities, but their public officials as well have spent billions of dollars building data centers. And now there's a concern in China that those data centers are not going to be needed with this DeepSeek technology, and they may have invested in all these data centers that are going to sit there empty.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of an interesting aspect of this to me. It's like, I think sometimes when we look at foreign competitors and how they do things, we may romanticize things and think, oh, they're doing so much better than us, and it may look like they're doing perfectly, but apparently China's got, makes mistakes just like we do, and, this could be something they have to deal with.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Very, very interesting. Well, Louis, I'm afraid we are out of time this week, but it's been great to catch up with you and get updated on some of this technology news. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.
All right, thanks. You too. That's Louis Campbell from Cintigy Computer Systems. He is with me every Monday around 8:50 a.m. every week right here on KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico.
KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, whose vision is to deliver world-class care, making life better for the communities they are privileged to serve. Offering a comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and emergency care services so residents can live life better here. San Juan Regional Medical Center, community-owned and operated, here for you.
I'm Peter Van de Graaf reminding you that KSJE has been supporting, sharing, and celebrating the art and artists of the Four Corners for more than 20 years. This is KSJE.